Welcome back to Crypto Equation, the place where we decode the future of money. And today we are doing something every beginner in the crypto world desperately needs. Not hype, not guesses, not predictions, but clarity. Clear understanding of what XRP is, what it does, why it matters, and why it is completely different from every other digital asset. Beginners first encounter, because the truth is, beginners do not fail in crypto because they are unlucky. They fail because they do not understand the system they step into. They chase candles instead of concepts. They follow hype instead of structure. They look at price instead of purpose. And if there is one asset that forces you to understand the real foundation of digital finance, it is XRP. This is the ultimate guide for beginners, a complete journey into what XRP truly represents, how it works, what makes it unique, and how understanding it changes the way you see the entire crypto ecosystem. The first thing beginners must understand is that XRP is not a meme coin. It is not a casino token. It is not a speculative fad built for sudden pumps and dramatic collapses. XRP was engineered for something far more important, solving one of the biggest problems in global finance, the movement of value across borders. Before you understand XRP, you must understand the problem it was designed to solve, because beginners often enter crypto without realizing that every digital asset exists for a reason. Bitcoin was created to decentralize value. Ethereum was created to decentralize applications. XRP was created to decentralize settlement. 3 different missions, 3 different layers, 3 different roles. When beginners do not understand that they treat every asset as the same, they are not. To understand why XRP exists, you must understand how slow and outdated the current financial system is. When you send money across borders, it does not move instantly. It moves through a network of intermediaries. Banks send messages, but not money. Settlement takes days. Fees accumulate. Liquidity gets locked, and the system breaks every time there is political instability, economic tension, or institutional delay. This is the old world. A world built on outdated rails. A world struggling to keep up with digital speed. XRP was created as a solution to that world. XRP is a digital asset designed to move value instantly anywhere in the world without relying on slow intermediaries. But what makes it powerful is not speed alone. It is the bridge function. XRP acts as a neutral asset that can connect any currency to any other currency. It does not require a partner bank. It does not require pre-funded accounts. It does not require slow settlement cycles. It provides a liquid bridge between currencies, allowing value to move the same way. Information moves instantaneously. For beginners, this might sound simple, but it is revolutionary. It means that money can move like email. It means settlement can become real time. It means liquidity can flow without borders. And it means financial systems can operate in a world where interruptions, shutdowns, or regulations cannot freeze the movement of value. This is not speculation. This is technological design. Beginners who understand this understand something fundamental. Crypto is not about prices. It is about systems. Systems that allow people to exchange value faster, cheaper, and more transparently. XRP was created as a tool for institutions, developers, and payment systems to build the next generation of settlement infrastructure. When beginners enter crypto focusing only on price, they miss the entire point. The point is utility. To continue this beginner journey, we must clear the biggest misconception beginners have. XRP is not the same as Ripple. Ripple is a company that uses XRP in its products. XRP is an independent digital asset that exists whether Ripple exists or not. Many beginners think they are the same thing because they see the names together. But understanding the difference is critical because it teaches one of the most important lessons in crypto. Do not confuse the network with the company. Bitcoin exists without any company. Ethereum exists without any corporate leadership. XRP exists independently of Ripple. The company is an ecosystem participant, not the owner of the network. Beginners also need to understand something even more important. Every asset in the crypto world has a purpose. Some are designed for storage of value, some for smart contracts, some for privacy, some for experimentation. XRP is designed for settlement. If you judge it by metrics meant for other assets, you misunderstand it. Many beginners enter crypto thinking every asset must follow the same narrative. They look at XRP and expect the behavior of a meme coin or the speculation of a hype token. But XRP cannot be understood through that lens. It must be understood through a utility lens. Utility is not as exciting as hype, but it is far more powerful because utility survives. Hype fades. That is why beginners who learn about XRP's real purpose develop a deeper understanding of how crypto actually works. They learn that the digital asset world is not a lottery. It is an architecture, a structure, a network of technologies that each serve a role. The next important lesson for beginners is decentralization. Beginners often hear the word, but do not understand what it truly means. Decentralization means no single entity controls the network. It means decisions are made through distributed consensus. It means the system continues running even if certain participants disappear. XRP is decentralized. It uses a consensus mechanism that allows the network to validate transactions quickly without relying on mining. This makes it energy efficient, it makes it fast, and it makes it reliable. Beginners must understand that not all decentralization is the same. Bitcoin's decentralization comes from mining. Ethereum's decentralization comes from validators. XRP's decentralization comes from independent validating nodes. Different structures, same goal, resilience. A resilient network cannot be shut down. It cannot be frozen. It cannot be paused. It is designed to function globally without interruption. This is essential for cross-border settlement, where value must move even when political systems fail. This leads us to the next lesson, scalability. Beginners often underestimate how important scalability is. Many digital assets slow down when activity increases. Transactions become expensive. Networks congest. Fees rise. XRP was designed to scale. It can process thousands of transactions per second. It can operate with minimal fees. It can remain stable even under heavy demand. Beginners must understand that crypto is not only about creating new digital assets. It is about building systems that can support real-world volume. Scalability is not optional, it is required. Now let us talk about liquidity. Beginners hear the word but rarely understand it. Liquidity means the ability to move value seamlessly in any direction at any moment. The global financial system depends on liquidity. Without liquidity, markets freeze. Banks struggle. Exchanges halt. And value gets trapped. XRP was designed to provide liquidity on demand. It can be used as a bridge asset for institutions that need to move value without maintaining large pools of money in foreign accounts. This is called pre-funding, and it is one of the biggest inefficiencies in traditional finance. XRP solves that. The next beginner lesson is speed. XRP transactions typically settle in seconds, not minutes, not hours, seconds. Beginners must understand that speed is not about convenience, it is about function. A digital world cannot rely on systems that take days to settle transactions. Institutions cannot manage liquidity if settlement takes too long. Speed enables scale. Speed enables efficiency. Speed enables global interoperability. XRP's speed is not a feature. It is a requirement for the world that is coming. Another thing beginners need to understand is that regulatory clarity matters. Many beginners believe crypto is a lawless frontier. But the truth is, the crypto world is maturing rapidly. Nations are building frameworks. Governments are creating digital asset laws. Institutions are demanding clarity. XRP has been at the center of regulatory conversations for years because its purpose intersects directly with the financial system. Beginners should pay attention to regulation not because it controls price, but because it controls adoption. Adoption requires clarity. Beginners must also learn the difference between speculation and utility. Speculation is driven by emotion. Utility is driven by necessity. Beginners often chase hype because they believe hype creates opportunity. But hype is unstable. Utility, however, is stable. It creates long-term value. XRP's long-term relevance does not depend on hype. It depends on whether the world needs faster settlement systems, and that need is growing every year. This is why smart beginners focus on understanding rather than guessing. Another essential beginner insight is understanding ripple effects, no pun intended. When one part of the financial system changes, every other part must adjust. If cross-border settlement becomes instant, everything else must follow. Compliance must speed up. Liquidity must move faster. Systems must integrate more efficiently. XRP does not operate alone. It operates within a global digital ecosystem. Beginners should see the big picture, not the small one. Beginners also need to understand that crypto is not magic. It is engineering. It is code. It is mathematics. It is infrastructure. XRP's value comes from what it can do, not from what people believe it might do. The more beginners understand the technical side, the clearer everything becomes. They learn that behind every transaction is a network designed for efficiency. Behind every settlement is a system designed to replace outdated rails. Behind every use case is a reason for the asset to exist. Let us talk about the role of banks. Many beginners think banks are enemies of crypto. That is not true. Banks are slow to adopt new systems, but they are not blind to innovation. Banks want efficiency. They want reduced costs. They want instant settlement. They want global reach. They want interoperability. XRP fits into these goals. Beginners need to realize that XRP is not trying to replace banks. It is giving them better rails to operate on, just like the internet did for communication. This leads us to the next beginner truth. Crypto is not a replacement for the financial system, it is the upgrade. Beginners who understand this stop seeing crypto as a rebellion and start seeing it as evolution. XRP is part of that evolution because it improves one of the most essential parts of the global economy, the movement of value. Now let us address trust. Beginners often ask how they can trust digital assets. The answer lies in transparency. XRP transactions are public, the ledger is public, the rules are public, everything is auditable. Traditional systems do not offer this level of transparency. Beginners must understand that transparency creates trust, and trust allows systems to scale. Another lesson beginners must learn is the difference between digital assets and digital currencies. Digital assets like XRP have utility. Digital currencies issued by governments have authority. Both will coexist. XRP is not competing with government currencies. It is supporting the infrastructure that allows those currencies to move faster. Understanding the relationship between these two concepts is critical for beginners. To wrap up this first half, beginners must understand that XRP is not defined by speculation. It is defined by purpose. And purpose-driven assets survive long-term market cycles. XRP exists because the world is moving toward a fully digital financial system, and the rails for that system must be instant, reliable, transparent, and efficient beginners who understand XRP, understand the future of money itself. And in the next part of this guide, we go deeper into the systems surrounding XRP, the misconceptions beginners must avoid, and why understanding utility is the key to navigating the crypto world with clarity rather than confusion. Now that beginners understand the foundation of XRP, they must go deeper into the layers that surround it because crypto is not just about learning what an asset is. It is about understanding the environment in which the asset operates. One of the biggest mistakes beginners make is assuming that digital assets exist in isolation. They do not. They exist in ecosystems. Ecosystems of exchanges, developers, institutions, regulations, global markets, and technological transitions. To truly understand XRP, beginners must understand the environment it lives in and the forces shaping its evolution. This begins with understanding the relationship between technology and adoption. Beginners often think adoption happens overnight, but adoption is a slow and deliberate process. Institutions test, developers build, regulators analyze, markets adjust, and somewhere between these processes, digital assets transition from speculation to infrastructure. XRP sits at the center of that transition because settlement is one of the most important parts of global finance. Without settlement, the system stops. Without liquidity movement, the system freezes. Without instant cross-border communication, modern commerce collapses. XRP was designed to prevent those breakdowns. To understand why this matters, beginners must understand how global settlement works today. When money moves internationally, it must pass through multiple intermediaries. Each intermediary adds cost, delay, and friction. This system was built for a world that moved slowly, not a world that moves instantly. Digital assets like XRP are the answer to this mismatch. They offer a settlement layer capable of keeping up with the speed of the modern world. But beginners must understand something deeper. XRP does not replace banks, it replaces inefficiencies. This brings us to the next core concept, interoperability. Beginners often overlook how important interoperability is in crypto. They focus on individual blockchains without understanding that the future of digital finance is not about one chain ruling them all. It is about networks that can communicate with each other, networks that can connect value across systems, networks that can operate globally without fragmentation. XRP was designed to be interoperable. It is not limited to one ecosystem. It can bridge different currencies, different payment systems, and different networks. This makes it fundamentally different from assets designed only for speculation or only for internal use cases. Beginners must also understand the role of liquidity providers. Liquidity providers ensure that value can move when it needs to. They enable efficient markets. They maintain stability. In the traditional financial system, liquidity providers rely on massive pools of capital locked in different currencies across the world. XRP offers an alternative. It allows liquidity providers to operate with less capital locked in foreign accounts. Beginners should recognize how significant this is, because it reveals why institutions have spent years exploring solutions like XRP. The global financial system is inefficient and expensive. XRP reduces those inefficiencies. The next concept beginners must understand is compliance. Many beginners assume crypto is outside the regulatory world, but in reality, regulations shape everything. Payment networks cannot operate without regulatory compliance. Financial institutions cannot adopt technology without clarity. And digital assets cannot integrate into real-world systems without oversight. XRP has been at the center of regulatory discussions because its purpose touches one of the most heavily regulated industries in the world. Global finance beginners must understand that regulatory clarity is not something to fear. It is something to welcome because it opens the door to adoption. Another critical lesson for beginners is understanding that technology alone is not enough. What matters is solving real problems. Many crypto projects promise revolutionary ideas, but do not solve real-world issues. XRP solves a real-world problem that affects millions of people and thousands of institutions: the slow movement of value. Beginners must understand that assets with real utility have a stronger foundation than assets built only for speculation. Let us now address the psychology of beginners. Most beginners enter crypto emotionally. They buy because they see excitement. They panic because they see fear. They follow trends instead of understanding systems. This emotional roller coaster is what causes beginners to lose direction. But when beginners learn about XRP, they learn to think in terms of systems. They learn to think about infrastructure. They learn to think about real use cases. This shift in thinking is critical. Beginners also need to understand that crypto is not just about wealth. It is about awareness. Awareness of how money works. Awareness of how systems operate. Awareness of how digital economies are forming. The more beginners understand these concepts, the more confidently they navigate the crypto world. And XRP provides a perfect entry point because it forces beginners to connect technology with utility. Now let us talk about misconceptions. Beginners often hear criticism of XRP without context. Some say it is centralized. Some say banks do not need it. Some say other assets solve the same problem. But beginners must understand that crypto narratives often come from misunderstanding or surface-level analysis. XRP's decentralization model is different, but it is decentralized. Banks do not have to need XRP for it to be useful. XRP solves liquidity issues even if banks use other systems. And while other assets attempt to solve similar problems, XRP has one of the most developed ecosystems addressing real settlement needs. One of the biggest misconceptions beginners must avoid is thinking that XRP is competing with other blockchains. XRP is not a competitor. It is a component A tool that fits into a broader digital financial system. Beginners who try to compare XRP to assets built for smart contracts or decentralized applications misunderstand its purpose. XRP is a settlement engine. It is not designed to replace Ethereum or Bitcoin. It solves a different problem. When beginners understand this, they stop comparing and start comprehending. Now we move into one of the most important parts of this guide, understanding global finance. Beginners often assume the financial world is simple. They think money moves directly from point A to point B. They think institutions manage everything easily. They think cross-border transfers are straightforward. But the truth is, the global financial system is one of the most complex systems ever created. And its complexity is why digital assets like XRP exist. When a beginner learns how slow and fragile global settlement is, they begin to understand why institutions are exploring digital assets. When they learn how expensive liquidity maintenance is, they understand why a bridge asset is valuable. When they learn how fragmented systems are, they understand why interoperability matters. When they learn how outdated financial rails are, they understand why modernization is necessary. XRP fits into this new world, not by coincidence, but by design. Let us now explain something. Many beginners overlook the concept of trustless systems. Trustless does not mean no trust. It means participants do not have to trust each other, they trust the system. In a trustless system, rules are transparent. Outcomes are predictable and transactions are verifiable. XRP operates on a trustless ledger. Beginners must understand why this matters. Trustless systems reduce risk. They reduce fraud. They reduce errors. They reduce dependency on intermediaries. This is the future of finance. Another key lesson for beginners is understanding how digital assets align with the shift toward tokenization. Tokenization means turning real-world assets into digital tokens: currencies, securities, commodities, real estate, and more. Tokenization requires fast settlement systems. It requires liquidity. It requires interoperability. XRP's characteristics match the requirements of tokenized markets. Beginners who understand this understand that XRP is not only relevant today, but also in the future tokenized economy. Beginners also need to understand the importance of resilience. Traditional financial systems can stop during recessions, shutdowns, or crises. Digital settlement systems cannot. They must continue operating. XRP's design makes it resilient. It does not depend on mining. It does not depend on large energy consumption. It does not depend on centralized control. It is built to operate under stress. Beginners who learn this understand why resilience is crucial for global systems. Let us go deeper into the technical side in a beginner-friendly way. Every digital asset has a ledger, a record of transactions. XRP's ledger is called the XRP ledger, or XRPL. It is fast, it is efficient, it is decentralized, it supports more than just transactions. It supports built-in features that beginners often overlook. These include native decentralized exchange functions, token support, escrow capabilities, and more. Beginners must understand that the XRPL is not just a payment network, it is a full ecosystem. Now beginners must learn how consensus works. Consensus means the network agrees on the state of the ledger. Instead of mining, XRP uses a distributed agreement mechanism. Validators confirm transactions. Validators are independent. Validators ensure the network remains accurate. This system is fast and efficient. Beginners must know that consensus is what keeps the network alive. This leads us to understanding transaction finality. In some networks, transactions can be reversed or delayed. XRP transactions settle quickly, and final beginners should know that finality is crucial for global settlement because institutions cannot operate with uncertainty. Let us now explore XRP's role in the broader world of digital transformation. The world is moving toward digital identity, digital payments, digital currencies, and digital assets. Beginners who study XRP learn that these trends are not random, they are interconnected. The future financial system will be digital at every layer. XRP is aligned with this future because it offers the speed, transparency, and reliability needed for a fully digital environment. Another key beginner insight is understanding that crypto is moving from speculation to infrastructure. The early years of crypto were about experimentation, but now nations, institutions, and companies are building real systems. XRP fits into this phase. It is not theoretical, it is practical. It is being used, tested, and explored by organizations looking to modernize their operations. Beginners also need to understand that patience is essential. Infrastructure does not change overnight. Global systems take time to evolve. Regulatory frameworks take time to finalize. Technology takes time to mature, but the direction is clear. The world is moving toward real-time digital settlement. XRP was built for that direction. Let us talk about security. Beginners often worry about scams, but they must understand that real digital assets operate on secure networks. XRP has been operating for years with a strong track record of stability. Beginners must learn to differentiate between real technology and speculative projects by studying the underlying architecture. Another beginner principle is that crypto is not about gambling. It is about knowledge. The more you understand, the more confidently you navigate the space. XRP is one of the best assets for learning because it forces beginners to understand utility. Understanding utility teaches beginners how to analyze other assets. It gives them a foundation. Finally, beginners must understand vision. Vision is what drives technological evolution. XRP was created with a clear vision to transform the movement of value across the world. Beginners who learn this understand that crypto is not just about charts. It is about the future of financial infrastructure. This ultimate guide is only the beginning. The more beginners learn, the clearer everything becomes. XRP is not a mystery. It is not a gamble. It is not a trend. It is a technology built for a digital world, a world that is already emerging, a world that will reshape how value moves. And beginners who understand this early will navigate the digital future with clarity, confidence, and awareness. To wrap up this first half, beginners must understand that XRP is not defined by speculation. It is defined by purpose. And purpose-driven assets survive long-term market cycles. XRP exists because the world is moving toward a fully digital financial system, and the rails for that system must be instant, reliable, transparent, and efficient. Beginners who understand XRP understand the future of money itself. And in the next part of this guide, we go deeper into the system surrounding XRP, the misconceptions beginners must avoid, and why understanding utility is the key to navigating the crypto world with clarity rather than confusion.